I are joined by Jack Espinosa, and we had you
Oh,
on
we're
a couple
back.
of years ago, and it's good to see you again. You've been a busy boy since the last we saw you. You've got this book out, Cuban Bread Crumbs.
What, you know, Jack, people don't realize that every one of these books that are published, you are actually typing yourself and gluing them together and sending them out. So every one of these letters on the pages of this book has been typed by Jack himself.
My blood is running between the lines.
You are just, you are such an,
You know, if you're famous,
Janet, are you kidding me?
Tell us about your journey, Jack. You've done everything in the Tampa Bay area. You've had every role in the city, politics, everything.
well, you know, I started 2 blocks from here.
Yes, you did start 2 blocks from
On
here.
a Sunday afternoon when my father was making watermelon sherbet.
Oh, really?
Sherbet?
Watermelon.
Oh, watermelon sherbet.
I was born
Sherbet.
1611 11th Avenue, right there, under a camphor tree.
Well, this was your first
That's why
try.
I'm so clean.
And must be.
This was your first shot at writing a book, from what I understand. What was that journey like for you?
Well, I tell you what, somebody convinced me, you know, my editor, Bill Duray, said, you ought to put all these stories together. And I've had it kind of, you know, inside and I was a bureaucrat, you know. I wrote speeches and I wrote, you know, all kinds of.
A lot of BS.
But finally I said, let me see what I can do. So I made a collection of short stories about us. And
Us
that is,
as your family, us.
well, us meaning it was a very unique immigration. You know, in New York you had, the Irish had a section, then you had, you know, Chinatown.
You had
and
your
then-
Sicilian
very-
section,
very
sure.
section.
Over here is Sicilians, Spaniards, and
Cubans.
all came to work in the cigar factories. So, and everybody called us Latins. You know, Latin is a language that nobody uses. There's no
True.
country named Latania. So we were kind of thrown in together, and we were very different. So in order for us to become Americans, first we had to deal with each other. And we didn't get along very well, you know. Spaniards and Cubans had a revolution in Cuba. And the Spanish people, the Spaniards were the managers of the cigar factories.
Well, they wouldn't let the Italians roll the cigars at the beginning, right?
Well, they did, but you know, Italians were different. They bought land because they were farmers, you know, and they bought land, and that's why they all became rich. But the Cubans were the laborers in the cigar factories,
That's why they all became
and
rich.
the
I got it
managers
now.
were the Spaniards, more or less, you know. So there was a management labor dispute. My mother was Cuban Irish. Can you believe that?
Go
Cuban
figure.
Irish. And my father was Spanish from Spain. My mother's side of the family, they were Spaniards too.
Oh my goodness!
So
you should write a book.
Well, that's what I did.
Oh, that's
So,
right. That's
so
what
these,
we're talking
these
about. Cuban bread
stories are
crumbs, what am I
true.
thinking?
These stories are true. They're
Oh,
true
yeah,
stories.
Absolutely. I changed the name.
Lies.
I changed some of the names to protect the guilty.
Guilty.
But
Well, the name is catchy, Cuban Bread Crumbs. Why
Well-
did you pick that name?
well, because my life was the loaf of the Cuban bread, and these are a collection of short stories where they're kind of the crumbs that fell off the loaf, you know. And it's the real Ybor City.
The real
you know.
Ybor City.
The real Ybor
So
City.
it's Ybor City back in the day,
Yeah,
before it is now.
It was about the bottom of the barrel, you know. We were catfish, you know. All the stories written about Ybor cities are about the streetcar. Yeah, I saw the streetcar, you know. They don't even smell the same.
I assume not.
Everybody threw up in a streetcar because they smelled bad. The streetcar smelled like castor oil.
Huh.
What?
And it was terrible, you know. But anyway, if you had to get a streetcar to go work at 4 o'clock in the morning in a cigar factory,
You
which
wrote it.
all the lines were connected to cigar factories that would go to work. If you had to ride a streetcar, it was not very romantic. My
Because it
mother-
smelled like castor
My mother
oil.
was a roller, and my wife's grandmother was a stripper.
You know-
you're right.
She
stripped
stripped the.
Woo!
Jack,
I'm glad
tell-
you saved me on that one, Jack. Holy mackerel!
Jack, tell us how people can get your book. Where is it being distributed?
Well, I did 2 signings, you know, one at the museum, and I sold out right away.
Oh, good.
But there's, you can order them online, or you can order them by phone. Ex Libris is the publisher out of Philadelphia, and the bookstores are going to start carrying them now, you know.
So obviously it's going very well for you, at least in our
I
market, and
can't
congratulations to you.
I can't believe it.
You know,
Somebody's actually buying something you wrote, huh?
I'm getting famous and I'm still poor. I don't understand it.
You know, I do. We have to. We have to go to break, but I want to get just 30-second comment from you. You've had such an eclectic life. You've been a politician. You've been in.
No, I never ran for office.
Well, being the sheriff.
Well, I was the information officer for the sheriff's office.
Sheriff's office. You're a comedian.
And I was an assistant county administrator. Before that, I was in show business.
And then and a comedian too. So you've had
well,
a
with
wide
a face
gamut.
like this, I couldn't be a leading man.
That's right.
So life for you has been good.
Listen, if I had my life to live over again, I'd live it exactly the same way.
Except maybe not do this interview.
The good old days, the only thing good about them was that we were young. The rest wasn't so good.
Well, congratulations to you, Jack, and thank you for coming on our show again. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.